Hello, friends, and welcome to this week's episode of Learning for Good. This month, we are focused on creating connection in your virtual or hybrid workforce. Now, so many of you are currently working in an all virtual or a hybrid environment. So this month is going to be really important for how to create that connection, how to build that trust in this new environment. So I'm so excited for this week's episode, how to build trust among your nonprofit's hybrid workforce. So many nonprofits have spent the last 2 years in a hybrid model with some staff in person and some virtual. It's time to be intentional about our new hybrid workforce, and building trust is foundational to a great hybrid culture. In today's episode, we're going to learn 3 ways that you can build trust among your nonprofit's hybrid workforce and what nonprofit L&D leaders can do to create this environment for staff. So let's dive into today's episode of Learning for Good. So the first way to build trust among your nonprofit's hybrid workforce is to listen actively. People want to feel heard. They want to feel seen. They want to feel valued. And they get that when we truly listen to them. But in a remote or a hybrid environment, they can't just walk by your office and pop in to celebrate a win or to vent about a frustration, to build that relationship and that trust intentionally. Leaders have to then intentionally carve out time to listen to their teams in a hybrid environment. Those sporadic, unplanned meetings don't happen as much in a hybrid environment. So taking that time to be intentional and to carve out that time to really listen to your teams. That is one way you can build trust among your hybrid workforce. Trust is so essential, and listening is one way that you can help to build that trust. But here's the thing, after so many layoffs and changes that happened during the pandemic, followed by the Great Resignation, many people are not sure what to expect at work. It's not comfortable, it feels unclear, and it's hard, right? It's hard to be in an environment like that. It leaves people feeling uncertain and uncomfortable. And that's why the second way to build trust among your nonprofit's hybrid workforce is to act transparently. Things change. That's life. You're not going to be able to avoid change just because we've been through so much change over the past 2 years. But our capacity for change right now is diminished. So sharing what information you have as you have it and as you are able to share it, that will help staff feel more at ease. They're gonna feel a little uncomfortable. They're gonna feel a little uncertain because of the environment that we're in. But the more you act and communicate transparently with your teams, the more comfortable they will feel. Now that brings me to the final way that you can build trust among your nonprofit's hybrid workforce, and that is to communicate consistently. Studies have shown that people need to hear a message 7 times before they remember it, before it really sinks in. That might be 6 more times than you want to repeat yourself, but it's important. Say what you need to say. Say it again and again and again. Can never be underestimated. Communicate consistently. All right, so the 3 things that nonprofit leaders can do to create trust: listen actively, act transparently, communicate consistently. But what about nonprofit L&D leaders? What can we do to create this environment of trust? How can we help? How can we support this foundation that needs to exist within our organization? Well, we can assess what skills are needed in all of our leaders at every level in the organization. What do entry-level staff need? They may need to increase their comfort with ambiguity or be able to communicate their needs clearly and concisely. What about supervisors? What do supervisors need in order to create this environment of trust? They may need to be more active listeners so that they can translate the needs of their staff to the more senior leaders in the organization. And what about those senior leaders? What do they need in order to create this environment of trust? They may need consistent reminders to pause and to communicate with staff. They may be more connected to the change, more ingrained in it. And so without those reminders, they may not be communicating to staff as much as they need to be. So building in reminders, that kind of on-the-job learning or job aid that can help them remember to consistently communicate with staff, that might be what they need. So with these skills in mind, whatever the skills are in your organization that people need, right? With these skills in mind, we can begin to create the learning experiences that each group needs so that we're building a culture of trust. Real, in the moment, strategic learning experiences that help our staff thrive, that help our culture thrive. Now that's learning for good. Trust is essential to so many things that we do in our organization, from succession planning to diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Trust is the foundation. It's essential. So how do leaders build trust? We listen actively, we act transparently, and we communicate consistently. And L&D leaders can then translate those needed skills to real-time learning experiences that meet their organization's needs and build trust. If you're ready to create custom training for your nonprofit, but are struggling with how to do it virtually for your hybrid workforce, head over to my website and let's work together to develop the skills your people need so that you can scale your mission and impact, even in our virtual world.